your household or that you're over are to work on the Sabbath day. That means don't go to the mall. Don't make them people work. Don't go out to Taco Bell and make them people work. Don't go to Golden Corral, whatever. Those people are working and you're participating, spending your money there, and you're making them work. Okay, but I'm going to explain this though, if you stay with me and bear with me, that even in the Bible they didn't make people work. Okay. So this brings us to the point of buying and selling on the Sabbath. Right now I'm telling you what is and what's not permitted on the Sabbath days. Okay, Nehemiah chapter 10 verse 31, it says, "And if the people of the land bring ware or victuals on the Sabbath day to sell, that we would not buy it of them on the Sabbath or on any holy day, and that we would leave the seventh year in the exaction of every day." Okay. Again, for buying and selling, to make it plain, listen to this. Nehemiah chapter 13 verse 15. "In those days saw I Judah some treading wine presses on the Sabbath, and bringing of sheaves, and ladding asses, as also wine and grapes and figs, and all manner of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. And I testified against them in the day wherein they sold the victuals. There dwelt men of Tyre also therein, which bought fish and all manner of ware, and sold on the Sabbath unto the children of Judah and in Jerusalem. Then I contended with the nobles of Judah, and said unto them, What evil thing is it that you do, and profane the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers thus, and did not our God bring all this evil upon us and upon this city? Yet ye bring more wrath upon Israel by profaning the Sabbath. And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to get dark before the Sabbath, I commanded that the gate should be shut, and charged that they should not be opened till after the Sabbath. And some of my servants set I at the gates, that there shall be no burden be brought in on the Sabbath day. So the merchants and sellers of all kinds of ware lodged into Jerusalem once and twice." Okay, there we go. They couldn't import and export. They were trying to sell stuff. And he said, no way. No selling on the Sabbath day. Now this is Nehemiah chapter 13 again, starting at verse 15 through 20. So again, there are those that will work, which will be explained shortly on the Sabbath day, but not right now. Okay. This is why we keep the Sabbath, and it also confirms the seventh day of creation. Okay. I think I already read you guys that, which was Exodus 31 and 13, where God was going into detail with Moses about the children of Israel, and how he created the earth, and he didn't want them to do any work or anything, or they'll be put to death. He said, they'll be put to death. And the thing is, this is throughout the whole Bible. This is throughout, like, the Torah. This is throughout the whole Old Testament. God, over and over and over again, I found the Sabbath day, like, everywhere, okay? Just over and over again. Again, Levi 23 and 3, 6 days shall you work. Seventh day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. Okay? Believe it or not, God even made a Sabbath for the earth, for the land. Okay, I found that in Leviticus chapter 25, starting at the first verse, 1 through 6. It says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye come into the land which I will give to you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto the Lord." The land. Okay, let me finish reading. He says, 6 years thou shalt sow the field, and 6 years thou shalt prune the vineyard, and gather in the fruit thereof. But in the seventh year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land, a Sabbath for the Lord. Thou shalt neither sow thy field, nor prune thy vineyard. That which groweth of its own accord of the harvest thou shalt not reap, neither gather the grapes of thy vine undressed, for it's a year of rest unto the land. And the Sabbath of the land shall be meat for you, for thee and thy servant, and thy maid, and the hired servant, and the stranger that sojourneth with thee. Now, let me say this. He did make a Sabbath for the land. But do you realize it was not a weekly Sabbath? He said the first 6 years you plant, but the 7th year you don't plant. So that goes back to the Sabbath days of don't judge me on what I eat, don't judge me on what I drink, don't judge me on all of that stuff. Don't judge me on my Sabbath days. It's certain Sabbaths. And in no way was he talking about the weekly Sabbath in Colossians. Okay, Paul to the people. Okay, so in Leviticus chapter 25, verse 1 through 6, that is a yearly Sabbath, not a weekly. Okay, so that goes to show you there's other Sabbaths, and there's still more Sabbaths. Okay, to see how serious God was in Numbers, okay, chapter 15, 32nd verse through the 40th, it says, and while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks on the Sabbath day. And they that found him gathered sticks, brought him unto Moses and Aaron and unto all the congregation. And they put him in work, because it was not declared what should be done to him. And the Lord said unto Moses, the man shall surely be put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones without the camp. And all the congregation brought him without the camp, and they stoned him with stones, and he died as the Lord commanded Moses. The Lord said this out of his own mouth. Okay, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue. And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look unto it, and remember all the commandments of the Lord, and do them. Remember, he said, remember and do. Commandment 4 is remember the Sabbath day and do it, keep it. It's a holy day, okay? So he says, remember and do them, that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which you go a-whoring, that ye may remember and do all my commandments, and be holy unto your God. Which means this: don't do your own thing just because you see the tradition of man. Tradition will get you killed. God says that clearly throughout the word too. Leave that tradition alone and do what the Bible says does. Now, what did he say? Remember and do all my commandments. He didn't say, oh, do all my commandments. But don't do that Sabbath one though. He didn't say, oh, well, Jesus came, do all the commandments, just don't worry about the fourth one. It's good. I'm good. No, he said do them all. Okay? Numbers chapter 15:41 says, I am the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God, and I am the Lord your God. Now, of course, we wouldn't kill anybody today by stoning or by anything else, okay? But this is just to show how real it was, and it still is, in that the fourth commandment of the 10 commandments is a commandment. Now, if you notice in the 10 commandments, they are ordered, like I said, from the most important down, and the first 4 are all about God and respecting him, okay? Again, the 5th is for parents and down to respecting other people. But there's no doubt in my mind that these 10 commandments, which God wrote with his very own fingers, was chronologically ordered with a purpose intended. Okay, so let us just proceed to look at the scriptures, which is the final authority on any matter that we want to fuss and fight about. Deuteronomy chapter 5 verse 12 says, keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee. I mean, come on, how much harder does it get? Keep the Sabbath day. Keep it holy. Okay, the definition of sanctify in the Hebrew is kadesh. Okay. When I looked it up, it said a primitive root to be pronounced or observed as clean, ceremonial, or morally, appoint, to bid, to consecrate, to dedicate, to defile, to be hallowed, to keep, to be holy, keep, prepare, to proclaim, to purify, to sanctify. Okay, Kadesh is keeping it holy. It is holy. Okay.